Coco Chanel revolutionized women's fashion in the early 20th century and left an impression that is still worldwide today. Chanel was ahead of her time and of herself. She created timeless designs that are still popular today. In the 20th century, she revolutionized the fashion industry and she made herself a big idol to look up to. Till this day, she is one of the most powerful women in the fashion industry. Her early life wasn't that great. She grew up very poor but still was a very humble child. She was born as Gabrielle Chanel in France in 1883. Her mother died when she was 6 years old and then moved to her orphanage where nuns taught her how to sew and got her a job as a seamstress. She left the orphanage to become a cabinet singer, and that is when she changed her name to Coco. At the age of 20, she then was a mistress to a well-doing military officer by the name of Ethan Blossom. However, she fell in love with his best friend, who was a wealthy industrialist, Arthur Boy Capel. Both men funded her to go to Paris, and that is when she opened her first hat shop in 1910. She makes herself known in the society of the ladies and then opens up more stores. She starts cutting hair. She burned hair on the pilot light and cuts it into bob and then started that trend herself. As far as fashion designs, she designed a little black dress that was then deemed by Vogue as a fashion must-have. She imitates the casual dressing, but not only that, she changes the way women feel about themselves. Coco created her first designer to create wear jersey, a cheap former fabric that is used in men's underwear. Her designs were simple, practical, and inspired by men's underwear. She also made hats, multiple long strands of pearls, and two-tone ballet flats that were accessories to her designs. She was later known then for the Chanel jacket that was introduced in 1937 in tweed. Chanel loved this tweed, which was cheap. She lined it with fur to up the cost and status. The stock market then crashed in 1938 and changes the fit of the clothes. Chanel followed this trend and made the jacket more fitted, tight around the waist, and full on the shoulders. In 1995, struggled on the silhouette. It was inspired by Coco's wearing long sweaters. They cut it down to the front, belted it, and lined it up with the ribbon. 1960s, Coco's classic. One of her classics was a jacket with contrasting trim and became a staple for women that lunched. In 1923, she introduced her first fragrance to her line called No. 5. It was her first designer into fragrance, and it says to be that it was her lucky number 5 and that it would then make her a fortune that later on became true. Chanel closed shops at the beginning of World War II, and then because of that, bad press began to surface. She lived in exile, talking up to a Nazi soldier for 15 years, and they resided together at the Ritzy Hotel in Paris. She made later a comeback in 1952, however, the bad press was still following her. She died on January 10, 1973, at the age of 87. She died peacefully in the apartment at Ritz. Coco left a mark in the fashion industry that we still today look up to. Many books and movies were written about her, and her legend continues on.